then they're rebel. Then he puts them on earth. And then he forgives them immediately. I just finally got to my head. It was banging in my head. Boom, Jeff, think. You're not here as a punishment. So I got through that story, and I thought, I've got to read the rest of this Quran. The man who wrote this, I thought, was a genius. Or at least up till now. I had to figure out, okay, you convinced me. We're not here as a punishment. I get it. Then why are we here? Make sense of it to me. So I began reading the Quran, verse by verse, line by line, word by word, looking for anything that would hint in that direction. Are you following me? And now I'm going to try to summarize quickly, sort of, what happened. In that story, I noticed, is this thing working, guys? In that story, I noticed, could I try this now? Okay, in that story, I noticed it was emphasizing many things. And I'll just write down some of them. One is humans are going to suffer on earth, right? Suffering seems to play some major role in mankind's drama on earth. Two, next thing that came up was emphasized in the story, human intelligence, human intellect, in response to the angel's question. The angels emphasize the suffering, God demonstrates the superior human intellect. Next thing, choice. God, we see he doesn't put the humans on earth until they exercise their ability to make moral choices. Then they're ready to begin their earthly sojourn. Then they're ready to become his representatives on earth, if they choose the role. Other things are emphasized, divine guidance, God's forgiveness, in the form of his turning to the repentant person and helping them, and assuaging them, and guiding them, and so forth and so on. Forgiveness and divine guidance, and trying to think of other things. I usually have a whole list here. But in any case, the three that I want to emphasize right off the bat, though, the three that intrigued me were suffering, intellect, and choice. These were the things I used to argue against my mother with. Why would God put us down here to suffer? Why does he give us intellect if our minds lead us to naturally question his existence and come up with powerful arguments against him? Why does he give us choice? Why didn't he just program us to be good if he wants us to be good? Are you following me? So these were the three that interest me the most. So when I was reading through the Quran, I was really keeping alert to anything it had to say about suffering, intellect, and choice. And the first thing I wanted to wonder was, maybe I was reading into the story something that wasn't there. I hope I'm not boring you all. Sometimes I feel like I'm lecturing mathematics, and I'm down here in front of the audience, and I'm writing, and I'm getting into it, I'm really getting excited. I look at my audience, and they look like they're ready to die. So I know this has been a long talk. We've been going more than an hour now, an hour and 5 minutes. Give me about 15 minutes, okay? But, so I was reading through the Quran. Does the Quran really emphasize these things? Maybe I was reading too much between the lines. So I stayed alert to anything that was being said about these three things. Does the Quran, I'll go through this quickly, does it really emphasize the importance of intellect, human intellect, in the attainment of faith in our sojourn here on earth? And it definitely does. The rational and didactic tone of the Quran is one of its most salient features. Time and time again, or Orientalists even, who had a chip on their shoulder when it came to Islam, back in the days of early Orientalism, would point out that the Quran puts too much stress, they thought, on reason, the use of reason, and the importance of reason. And one of the Quran's fundamental theme is that most people ignore or reject God's signs and revelations and corrupt religion. Why? Because they fail to use their reason. The Quran says it again and again. They will not use their reason. It says they prefer to follow tradition. When you tell them, why don't you use your reason, they say, we're going to do what our fathers told us to do. We're going to follow in our fathers' footsteps. And then the Quran says, what? Even though their fathers were ignorant? Will they not use the reason? We'll constantly ask that question again and again. It says that those who distort religion, they refuse to reason. There are people who do not reason. The Quran says that exactly 8 times. And then it says Will you not use your reason? It asks 14 times. It says God reveals signs, lessons, and admonition so that perhaps you will use your reason. It's 8 times that quote appears. It says in the Quran, from its viewpoint, reason and faith are allies. One helps the other. Reason and faith are allies, just as illogic and false belief are from the standpoint of the Quran. It says those who benefit most from the Quran. Here's how it describes those who benefit most from the Quran. And there's a lot to be read in how an author describes things. Those who benefit most from the Quran are persons of insight, 16 such descriptions. Firmly rooted in knowledge, 8. Use the reason, 10. Stand on clear evidence and proof, 7. You notice? Saying that, the people that are, get guided most by this scripture are using their reason, right? Are intelligent, are reflective. They ponder. While those who are opposed to revelation are, look at these descriptions, deluded, and 9 such descriptions, and manifest error and obvious error, 28 such descriptions, ignorant, 15, foolish, 3, have no understanding, 9, only follow surmise and conjecture, 9, and blindly hear to tradition. Now for those of you in the Muslim community, that describes most of our leadership. Sorry to say. Well, that's too harsh, I'm sorry. But sometimes it's true. In an almost Socratic style, the Quran repeatedly quizzes the reader and calls into question his or her assumptions. Again and again it asks, what do you think? It begins 18 questions in those 3 words. What do you think? Have you considered? 17 such questions begin that way. Do you suppose? 7. Sounds like a philosopher. Do you suppose? Do they not ponder? Do you think at all? 18 such questions. The message is clear from the standpoint of the Quran. To gain truer faith, we need to free ourselves from inherited notions and examine our beliefs rationally. Always have that responsibility. I could go on and on about this, but I think you get the point. The Quran, I believe, really does a tremendous emphasis on reason in the attainment of faith. What about choice? I'll just read you a few verses very quickly because you guys look like you could use some Gatorade. It says, let there be no compulsion in religion. The right way is henceforth clearly distinct from error. Faith must be voluntary. It has to be a choice. It says, had God willed, he could have indeed guided all of you. I thought, why didn't you? Why didn't you just make us clones of one another, spiritual clones, rightly guided? Do not the believers know that had God willed, he could have guided all mankind? Why not? I thought. If God had willed, if we had willed, he could have given every soul its guidance. Give it to me. Make it clear. Enlightenment has come from your Lord. He who sees does so to his own good. He who is blind is so to his own hurt. It's your choice. You're the one who gets affected, not me. Quran is saying, I don't get affected. It affects you. You can't hurt me in the least. He'll tell you, you're only destroying yourselves. And whoever is guided is only to his own gain. If any stray, say, I am only a warner. Another verse has the prophet say, I am not a warden over you. That's not my job. We have revealed to you the book with the truth for mankind. He who lets himself be guided does so to his own good. He who goes astray does so to his own hurt. Time and time again, it's up to you. It has to come from you. This is your choice. Nobody's going to make it for you. And many such verses, like this one. If it had been your Lord's wish that all would have believed, all who are on earth, will you then compel people against their will to believe? And obviously rejecting tone. You know? The object of the game is not to force people to believe. So the Quran talks about the essential choice that we all have to make. The essential role that choice plays. Does it emphasize suffering? Now suffering is the big one, right? That is the one dilemma for every faith on earth.